Welcome back to the Social Seller Podcast with Conor Paulsen, where we interview the world's highest quality communicators, professionals, business owners, creatives, and everything in between. It doesn't matter what industry you're in. If you're a high quality communicator, there's a good chance you're living a lot happier life, but you're also bringing those opportunities into your life almost like a magnet. My guarantee is that on this show, we only interview people that I, one, look up to, and two, that I know are gonna continue to kill the game for years to come, and I wanna make sure they're on your radar. But what I've learned is by asking the best questions, we get the best responses, and that's what the highest quality communicators, our social sellers, are all about. Let's hop inside to the Social Seller Podcast. It won't actually be an hour, but I know you and me get really excited about what the future looks like, and we try to live in the present because we're happy people, but if we were to lean to a side, it's almost always the future.
Yeah.
And assessments always put you and me in the innovative, like futuristic categories. What are you the most excited for in the blockchain? I know you've done a lot of research, a lot of work in this space. Yeah. I'm going to check the camera too, but take over because it might have a 40-minute timer.
For sure.
And we don't have a camera person here.
I'm still pretty naive when it comes to like currencies itself. Like I have a basic understanding of blockchain technology, like why it all works. But the part that has really enthralled me is, so like during 2020 and being at home like a lot of other people, I got really into investing in like Pokemon cards, sports cards, and that whole like collectible game. So then when the term NFT came up, I kind of brushed it off. I had no idea what it meant. It was a confusing acronym. But then when I realized a lot of like the people that were into collectibles, like collecting the Jordan shoes, collecting Pokemon cards, were looking into NFTs, that really piqued my interest, and I went down a rabbit hole of that whole world, which I'm heavy in right now in my free time, just because it's a fast-paced, evolving world, but it has those principles of like collectability, community, access, and all of the components that got people excited about the internet when it first started, got people excited about social media when it first started, and now like the term for blockchain and NFT and all that is kind of Web 3. So if Web 1.0 was like the internet, the World Wide Web, having a website, and then the start of e-commerce, then Web 2.0 was kind of Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and all the social media platforms that died. Yeah. So being able to use the internet to connect people, social wise. Now Web 3.0 really being like digital assets, the ability to build communities better than ever. And I think like that's the component why so many people, the Mark Cubans, the everybody who's seen these cycles happen are so bought into NFTs, blockchain, Web 3.0, because they've seen it happen before and all the trends are kind of reoccurring. But the punchline really being able to keep track of the people that care about your brand and then be able to award them for that and have them be bought into something bigger and communicate with other people like them. And that's the big thing that interests me about that.
Yeah, and for anyone listening, you might have heard NFTs get thrown around. You've probably heard about cryptocurrency and crypto, right? And all of these things are built on, oh my gosh, I'm blanking, I just said it.
Blockchain.
Blockchain, I was gonna say cloud-based. Yeah, blockchain, right? And I'm still understanding it, everyone's still understanding it to some degree. It's complex and it's always moving, but NFTs, what does NFT stand for?
Non-Fungible Token.
Non-fungible?
So, yeah,
token.
Fungible. So
fungible.
I had to learn the word fungibility. So if you talk about like currency and money, like 101, what every currency needs is fungibility. So like if you have a $20 bill and I have a $20 bill, they're both worth $20. So that is like the definition of fungibility, is like they're equal to each other. So NFTs being the non-fungible is that everyone is unique. Like no two ones are the same. And that's the big like component with NFTs, is that like if you, I'll use an example because Mark Cuban's already talked about potentially doing this with the Dallas Mavericks games and the tickets to go to those games being non-fungible tokens. So you can scan that when you go in, but now you also have like the ticket stub which some people create or some people keep around and collect, but a lot of people just throw them out. But now you have the ticket stub to prove that you were at, you know, the winning game where it was tied and went into overtime.
That's brilliant.
And so maybe Mark Cuban can go and say, you know, because you were there and you actually stayed till the end, you get, you know, a free beer for the rest of the season every time you go to a game. And then it just gets people to keep coming back for more. Whereas you wouldn't really be able to easily keep track of all the ticket holders, and you definitely wouldn't be able to keep track of like who stayed till the end of the game. Those types of things are what smart contracts and NFTs allow for, and that's what's exciting. And then the other thing that excites me from like the e-commerce side of things, we'll use like a Louis Vuitton bag as an example. If Louis Vuitton puts an NFT tied to a bag, now anytime that gets sold on the secondary market, Louis Vuitton could make residuals off of that and say that, okay, they sell the bag for $3,000 the first time to a person, and now this person wants to resell it on the secondary market. They sell it for $2,000. Louis Vuitton might take 10% of that because that's what's built into the ownership of it. And that's kind of like mind-bending stuff, but the reason why like adoption will happen because the money flows. And that's something that has been a big interest of mine always, is if you figure out the way the money flows, you can make anything happen. Like, that's politics, that's anything, is figuring out how to align people's incentives, and then that's how you get things done in the world.
Could you explain that more? Because you've talked about, first off, those examples. I love them. The Mavs games. Yeah. I see it. Louis, you know, I love this. This creates a whole nother version of experiential, like us humans, right? We love experiences. And what we forget is that any version of sale, if we're buying anything from a water bottle at a hot dog stand to any, like going to Disney World, it's an experience. And by tracking these things, and that's, in first instance, it's like, well, we're being tracked and watched more. Well, guess what? We're already, like, in reality, like anyone that isn't over that, but it's more exciting that it can be more specific and tailored to us as individuals, right? These NFTs are unique. So are we. Yeah, and to take it like a step further, okay, now you have Louis Vuitton bags that have NFTs. You can find the other people that hold those NFTs, hold those Louis bags, and now you just found somebody that you have something in common with. You found a community of all these other people that were willing to throw $3,000 down for a bag because they love it that much, and you're able to build relationships from there. So that's like the community building aspect that makes it really interesting. You know, you'll be able to look at like somebody's digital assets and just learn about them. You'll see that they went to Bonnaroo in 2011, they went to Lollapalooza last year, or maybe they've been to Lollapalooza the last 20 years and they've never missed a year. Like, it says stuff about people. It's the same reason why people put art on their wall. Like, they want to express themselves, so that's kind of going to be the way to express yourself. But with art on a wall, it only gets seen by the people that come into your home. Once you have something digital, it gets seen by everybody who has an interest to see it. Yeah, and you and me have both invested thousands in NFTs. Yeah. And we both made thousands in NFTs. I still don't know a lot, and I'm learning from you, but I see the concepts and things, they make sense, and it excites me because it is unknown. Like the space and deep ocean, right? Now, what's really cool here is we live in this era and we have the capabilities and the knowledge, and anyone listening right now, you're hearing this. Like these, we're still learning these things all the time, but it's, okay, how do we get involved in this? Where do we leverage what we're good at today, and can we help someone? And how many NFTs do you own today? Like just under 100. So more than 90, less than 100? Yes. That's unreal. I own one, and I think... And you're still ahead of the curve, you know? Like, I'm excited for more. I've been starting to gift them to figure out how to do. And that's what I'm going to be doing for Christmas, just because, like, I care about my friends, and I want my friends to have some reason to at least learn a little bit of something, because I believe in one way or another it's going to impact our lives, so it's something good to learn about. On the same note, though, I mean, it's happened with Internet 1.0, with Internet 2.0. Majority of projects are going to fail. People are going to lose a shitload of money. It's risky, but that's kind of where the fun for me lies, and it's being able to read the patterns, read the trends, do the research, find the winners, and see if they win. I love that. On that note, can we split the cost of one? And for anyone that's listening this far in and listens to this and has any kind of interest in an NFT, let's give it out like on January 1st.
Like
whoever. So
we'll say it, like the people that comment on this post, we'll have them comment NFT with an exclamation point.
NFT with an exclamation point. You are entered.
I like it.
Should we put? Well, yeah, don't put email. We'll just have it on this. We'll know exactly.
Yeah, and we'll be able to contact them
on January 1st. We'll put it in the calendar right after.
We'll be able to contact them and then get their wallet.
What and name what you were showing me before? Would it be one of the what one like in between one of the point the.
We'll see what stuff's worth at that point in time.
See, Chris is already upping it. I know his eyes. God damn it.
We'll see what stuff is worth at that point in time. Because I think it's such a fast-moving pace.
Yeah.
It's not worth saying something that could go to zero right now.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, YouTube's they watch it over years, right? That's what we're learning from our coach. With NFTs, and I know it's complex. What's one good resource that you would recommend for people that don't have any knowledge that might have some curiosity like you and me?
Yeah, so like if you Google Gary Vaynerchuk NFT guides, like he has a ton of guides that he's put out just because he launched his own project and needed to educate people on it to have that be successful. OpenC is kind of the Amazon of the NFT place.
So OPEN, Open, C-S-E-A.
Yes, one word.
Yeah.
Oh, no, not .com.
Not .com, you're
it's
right.
.io.
.io, yeah.
But if you Google OpenC, you'll get the right one.
Yep.
You don't want to get scammed because there are a lot of scams in the world of NFTs. But that is like the Amazon of NFTs. So that's the place to go and like look around, browse, see why things are going for what they're going for. Like, we're filming this in like September of 2021. OpenC just had like their first $1 billion week, which is absolutely like an insane amount of money. Their team is like 37 people. They pulled in $1 billion worth of transactions, and their like residual or whatever on it is 2.5% just to sell on the site. So that's $25 million that was brought in a single week. And obviously things are really hyped right now, but like being able to see that volume, it's hard to ignore it and not at least do due diligence to figure out if it's something that you want to look into more or not. Like, it will be a component just like Instagram, Facebook, Twitter are a component of our everyday lives right now.
And dude, that's such a good point, because something else that goes along with the practitioner, and it's probably true in most of our life, that when we have that little bit of curiosity, it's playing on that energy, right? That curiosity is energy, and if you don't do something like in that moment usually, or like create a plan to do something, you're not going to, right? Like, and I think this segues well into it, because I want to talk about YouTube for you and me, because we've been in digital marketing, we've known the power of YouTube for so long, and we've used the power of YouTube for so long. We have friends that do really well on YouTube, and we've recommended it to clients, right? Yet it took us until January of this year for you and me to, you know,
actually get serious,
like commit to each other. And I think that's, for me at least, it was like, all right, well, if Chris is going to commit to it, like I'm in, because I do think there's something here, but we didn't know, right?
Yeah.
We didn't know what the hell it would do.
Yeah.
And just consistency.
And being able to get started was is always the hardest thing. The book that I'm reading right now, The YouTube Formula by Daryl Eves. Yeah. I'll promote this book.
Hey,
but this is an awesome book. The foreword was written by Mr. Beast, which is like the biggest YouTuber. And I liked seeing him say, all you have to do is commit to making 100 videos. If you can't do that, don't even get started, because like you need to be able to work off of something and grow. The first 10 videos you're gonna make are gonna suck. The next 10 are gonna suck. And the next 80 after that till you reach 100 are all gonna suck when you look back at them. And that should be like an empowering thing. It's empowering for me to know that like it's never gonna be perfect, so just do it anyways, because it's not gonna be perfect. But I like that mentality of it. And he even talks about where he's at the highest level right now. He says that the stuff he put out 2 months ago embarrasses him, just because he's learned so much since there, like the tactics, techniques, and different ways. And that's at like the top percent of a percent that he's doing it at. So,
and what excites you about YouTube, big picture? Because I think that's one thing we got into it because it was, for us, what were the reasonings, or what were the reasons why? It was a way for us to increase the visibility of the value we're already providing, right? We're able to help people, but like our big thing is, hey, it's not, let's share it with the world and transparency, right? Like coming from a state of abundance, like, yeah, we have it. If people are out there and they're willing to take action, like we want you to do it. Now, what's awesome is the byproduct is most people see it and they're like, damn, I want that, but I don't have the time. I need to, like, you know what I mean? So then they bring something like this in and, but yeah, didn't want to cut you off.
No, you're good. That was a good like segue into it. The thing that excites me the most about YouTube, that I slept on it for too long, and I'm in the space of social media and learning about all the platforms and going way too in depth in forums and underground areas where people talk about the algorithms and everything. But it all comes back to like simplistic things, and the simple and beautiful thing about YouTube is that the content is more evergreen, as people put it. So a video that was posted 2 years ago can still be relevant and seen by people today just because it's still relevant. Whereas Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all the other social media platforms, like you're never gonna see something from even a couple weeks ago in your feed because it's so current based and based on the things that are popular as a whole. Whereas YouTube, it's owned by Google, they have a lot of analytics on people, but for that reason, they're able to promote, show videos to people that are good about topics they might be researching. And it doesn't matter if the video is 2, 3, 4, or 5 years old or was posted last week. If it's a good video and people are watching it, it's gonna perform well. And being able to have something that you're building kind of like a foundation with, and it's not necessarily something that's going to be lost, like it's a foundation that you build off of. That's what excites me the most about YouTube, is the fact that the video you made 100 videos ago could still be performing better than the video you posted yesterday. And that's exciting.
Right. And then it reaches a global audience too.
Yeah,
and I think that's what's opened our eyes too, is like, whoa.
Yeah.
All the feedback that you get on how-to videos, and like that many people that are like, wow, thank you for, for sharing these things. Because what you're doing and the difference, and what I love is you're not talking about the features of a social platform, right? Mm-hmm. You're not talking about, here's this feature, this feature. It's the strategy to actually get your objective, your goal, your conversion, right? Yeah. And that's what a lot of people, unfortunately, they'll tell you the features, but that doesn't bring customers in. There's so many components that have to go into it to really craft a quality relationship, especially in today's environment. We live in this online selling environment, and we're only getting more and more into it.
Yeah.
Our belief is, let's create as much of a human-like experience online.
Yeah.
What does that look like? It's personalized. It's what can we use today that we couldn't use a decade ago? We have, like you were saying, Google, LinkedIn, Zoom Info. Well, it doesn't matter. We have access to this information, and it's just our pure laziness if we're not doing the pre-work. Even if it takes 15 to 20 minutes sometimes in between each individual prospect outreach, doing outreach, to look in to their company's podcasts and listening to 10 minutes to get an understanding of, maybe how their CEO, what their CEO enjoys doing, or reading their newsletters as their company, right? How do they communicate? What are they looking forward to? So when I reach out, or you reach out, or anyone on our team, or we're reaching out on behalf of clients, that it is so personalized that immediately it creates an uncommon experience. And the beauty, usually we haven't even sent a connection request if we're going through LinkedIn, or we haven't even asked for anything. There's no ask yet. And we'll continue to engage. And now, by the time 3-4 days later that we might go to send a connection request, I would guess that like 8 or 9 out of 10 times they've already scheduled a call. They want to get on a call with you, right? Because it's uncommon. What is common though? What is common is over 9 out of 10 companies and professionals using automation, and everyone being tired of getting spam emails, spam messages. Right. And there are people out there that want to do genuine business and want to help.
Yeah, and that's the punchline of life, is that any business that you're doing it with other humans. And the internet has done a great job of connecting people that you would never meet, but it's also made it so kind of the subtleties of communication have been lost a little bit. So if you're able to have any acumen at being able to learn something about a person and then talk to them about something that they like, that is uncommon, as you would put it, and is the way to build relationships, regardless of whether you're doing that in person with somebody, face to face, or if you're doing it online with somebody. You're trying to, see if you vibe with somebody, see if you jive with somebody, see if they're a good fit to even be somebody you want to talk to or get to know or do business with. And going into relationship building and business development with that in mind is the reason why it's successful as compared to like traditional pushy sales tactics that worked because they were aggressive when cold calling and everything, but isn't something that you're able to do really as effective today.
Yeah. And then it just comes down to opportunity cost too, right?
Yeah.
Like I can spend my time prospecting and doing one-on-one outreach, but if I didn't do the quality targeting to make sure I'm only reaching out and starting conversations with decent people, like I can be friendly all day, but it's so inefficient. I'm wasting their time too.
Yeah.
So that's like, I'm selfish and selfless, right?
Yeah.
But now I'm not getting a conversion, so the company's eventually going to die, right? You need sales. It's the bloodline of a company, especially a growing one. So it's doing the due diligence and doing that little prep work or pre-work that does the world of a difference. And unfortunately, I feel like most people don't roll up their sleeves.
Yeah, and like to go a little further with that, it's being able to figure out where people hang out on the internet. That's the way I like to put it, is like, where do people hang out that you would want to get in touch with? And then being able to like do that thought experiment and then go there. You know, if you're trying to sell an electric bicycle, maybe you need to find the other like e-bike communities, but maybe you also need to find like the Corvette lovers Facebook group and figure out all the, you know, junkies in there that are into mechanics and into mechanical things, but also want to toy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That have the wealth too, right? You can filter almost.
Exactly. So it's like the very subtle things like that. The internet makes it so people share a lot about themselves. There's a lot in a non-creepy way that you can learn about somebody without ever meeting them. That, you know, you couldn't do that before if you were going to a conference and it was back prior to social media. You wouldn't know that this person, you know, loves skateboarding or loves going to basketball games. But that's stuff that you can learn about people just by what they post, what they share, and what they put out about themselves.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And as we wrap things up here with the final question, I haven't been able to ask this one before. What are you the most proud of in the last 5 years of Uptown Creation?
That is a great question. I think that, like, the cliche answer is the building the culture that we've been able to cultivate and staying true to that. So I think that is probably the answer, is like being able to be authentic and do business the way that we want to do it and not listen to every advice that we get if we don't agree with it, and be able to treat people like we want to be treated, which is so simple but lost a lot in business. And I think people are surprised when they see younger people doing that. Outside of that, I think the way that we've been able to pivot, and it's hard for me to even say that that's like something that I'm proud of, just because I knew that that's the way we would operate, which is why I was comfortable starting this in the first place. But the execution there has been good. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I love that you say that, and I agree, because what you're also hitting on is that it's become a lot more than like any one person. It's the team, and then it's like almost this excitement of like, oh damn, like, you know, we didn't see it looking like this, and having this many full-time people at this point, and now it's like, oh shit, like the progression and where things are going. It's easy to see and have a good idea, or like a year from now, where the team size and the company and the organizations we're working with, okay, well, what does the next year look like if we've got here in a year, and seeing how things are compounding, the baseline being treating people well, and whether it's clients and being able to turn people down when we don't think it's a good fit. And there are people that are happy to pay, and maybe even pay more, that we know would just not be a good fit for us, right? And unfortunately we turn them down, or we just tell them it's not the right time. It needs to be the right fit for both parties, because what does that introduce? It creates a winning relationship that you enjoy it, and then you're both able to grow, right? Like it's fun when there's a professional relationship and both companies are growing too.
Definitely.
So I'm grateful that you shared that. And one big point on that YouTube formula book, I love that you mentioned that. I know that just came out here a few months ago. Yeah. And one of our biggest takeaways just on that YouTube point, for notes that we've gotten from our YouTube coaches and from the book, consistency is critical on YouTube.
On any social media
platform. On any social media platform.
Yes.
One thing I wanted to mention that you had just explained with the different social media platforms is learning that you subtly are going to communicate differently on different social media platforms, right? Yeah. So understanding that the content is subtly going to be different. I think a lot of the times it does make sense to focus. Usually focus on one channel where you think your ideal clients are congregating, right? LinkedIn, for a lot of companies and people, if you're selling to another company, LinkedIn's like the Facebook for professionals. So you go there to congregate, but it's not just LinkedIn as a whole. When you work with experts, it's starting to understand, oh wow, there's all these little groups in LinkedIn, and like there's little very niche groups that it's, I like weekend camping and doing spiritual yoga, right? Like it's something, obviously a weird example, but specific. There's 12 people in that. And then there's 1,400 people in NLP yoga training. Like, you know what I mean? And when you can get that specific, there's groups out there in your congregations of people that you're like, why can't I find someone that I enjoy working with and that can afford my rates?
Yeah.
Right? And they're out there, but it is challenging sometimes to get it, and you have to understand a strategy.
Yeah, and the beautiful thing is that like the type of content is going to change that performs well. TikTok made it so, you know, short videos that looped were very popular to the point where Instagram took it. Snapchat made it so stories were like short snippets that disappeared within 24 hours was a way to communicate that Instagram adopted. So these new ways will continue to come up, and Clubhouse just did it with, you know, audio, where Twitter has Twitter Spaces now, and I'm sure Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn will have their own like live audio room type of platform and medium to be able to share content on. So new mediums will present themselves, and then it's just making content that fits for that medium if it works for you. You know, Twitter is a very like written, text heavy platform. LinkedIn is a very image video platform that's heavy. Instagram obviously has started off very visually at being basically a platform that people were posting pictures and
it was still pictures, still photography, but yeah, the creative.
You were able to edit it and be creative on it. So that will always change, but being able to create content for the platform that you're on, and then when choosing a platform, being able to choose where the underpriced attention is. Like Instagram and Facebook, we talk about being more like pay to play because they're more mature environments. It's hard to make a post on Instagram or Facebook and have it get seen by thousands of people when you're starting from zero, but TikTok and LinkedIn are two platforms right now in 2021 that you can make a post on TikTok with 0 followers and have it be seen by thousands and thousands of people for free, which is still absolutely insane. Mm-hmm. And that is my social media.
Get with the curve. Get with the curve. That is some gold, spitting gold right here. Now, how can people get in contact with you, Chris? Now, I know you are a LinkedIn influencer, and I know you would never say this, and I was told before the interview that I couldn't introduce you as Conor because you're a pharmacist, and you don't believe that that's real doctor. I agree. Now I know that. I wouldn't know that otherwise because I didn't go to pharm school. Now, how can people get connected to you? And where's the best place to
So connected on LinkedIn, Chris Cozzolino. I have PharmD at the end of my name. That's probably the best place to get in contact with me at. Outside of that, being able to get involved with Uptown Creation, if you want to learn more, go into uptowncreation.com, being able to, you know, book a demo call from there and just look at the other YouTube videos. The video video that we need to create like right after this is going to be I like the explanation you put of like me being the more how-to and you being more like podcast format, relationship building type content. I think that's what we need to put on the YouTube channel. You guys are seeing this live.
This is literally how it goes. We're going to stop this video and keep recording. So I appreciate you, brother. Exactly. Thank you. We've been trying to do this for a long time. I love it. You're a brother for life. Let's keep growing, guys. If you got the value, make sure you comment below. We'll see you on the inside.